Well, hello, friends of Private Universe. Welcome back. Today we have a very special guest, Desiree Lotz, a detox specialist who has helped thousands of people throughout 40 years experience, originally from South Africa, living now in United States. I rang her and we had a really interesting chat. Enjoy.
Hi, this is Desiree.
Hi, Desiree. It's Carlos. How are you?
I'm good. Hi, Carlos. I'm good, thanks. And you?
Very good, thank you. Lovely to have you on our show today.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so how's it all going over there? You're in the States, yeah?
Yeah. All I can say is right now, it's hot as hell. Because I'm in Florida. Yeah.
Oh, that's
Florida's
lucky,
very hot.
because we're freezing down here in the Southern Hemisphere.
Okay, don't worry. I'll send you some heat.
Beautiful. Wouldn't it be lovely if we could do that, yeah?
Yeah, I would love it. And I would love the cold, just so you know, for sure.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I suppose that's why people live closer to the equator, so they don't have to worry about the extremes. But it's also lovely to have seasons, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I lived in Johannesburg for a long time, and I always tell people, Johannesburg has got the best climate in the world. It's very, very seldom extreme, and you have all four seasons.
That's right, yeah. So what city are you in at the moment?
Clearwater, Florida, and it's in the Tampa Bay area.
Oh, lovely. Sounds beautiful. So how long have you been living there, Desiree?
Since 2003.
Wow.
So what's that? 18 years, yeah?
Yeah, and obviously your accent is South African.
Yeah. I meet people and then they ask me and then they give me, some of them it can be so silly and funny and I enjoy it.
Yeah. So what took you all the way from South Africa to the United States?
Well, I had a bit of an issue with something going on there in my personal life, and my youngest daughter was over here, and she saw the writing on the wall of which I'm not going to get into all the details because nobody would really understand that.
Sure.
But she said to me, "Mom, come now," and my daughter in South Africa said, "Mom, leave now."
Wow.
So I did, and I came over with 2 suitcases. One was closed for 2 weeks, and one was a bag full of documents and stuff, and I never went back.
Wow. So you haven't been back at all? Not even for a holiday?
No, I have been back in a couple of years ago, and then just before all this drama started on the planet was COVID, I went back and I was there for a few months. I have been back.
Wow. There. So do you still call South Africa home, or your new place now is home, the United States?
No, this is interesting. I tell people I'm an African American, even though I've got a white skin. I am very, very South African, and and this is what I tell people is, you can take me out of South Africa, but you can't take South Africa out of me.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? It's kind of so, and it's such it is. I love South Africa. I love the people and all of that good stuff. So, that's beautiful there.
Yeah, I'll have to go one day. I haven't been actually nowhere in Africa at all, in the continent. So that's hopefully when, like you said, we've got a bit of a trouble now on the planet with this COVID. And once we control it, hopefully that will be one of my next destinations. So it sounds like a wonderful continent.
Oh, you would love it, and definitely got to go and see the wild animals. And I mean, it's just, if you come into my lounge here in Florida, and you walk into my lounge, I tell people, come and visit me in my zoo. I've got wild animals all over in my lounge. Elephants and giraffes and lions and you name it.
Wonderful. And so Florida, obviously, it must be a very big difference culturally from where you were. How did you adapt?
Well, you know what? I'm a very odd kind of a person. Most people, when they leave areas, they miss this one. Or actually, somebody was asking me about it the other day, and I'm very unusual because when I was in Australia, I was in Australia. Didn't have attention anywhere else. When I was in New Zealand, same thing. When I'm here, I'm here. When I'm in South Africa, I'm there. So I don't have weird like miss this or miss that. I am where I am. And
Okay.
it's been a huge help to me in many, many ways.
That's incredible. That is quite unique because a lot of people, yes, they do miss their country or the nostalgia, I suppose, as we talk about. And so it's wonderful that you can focus on that moment, which is the hardest thing to do in life, isn't it? To being in the zone, as the sports people say.
Yeah, because, and I've always been able to. And it's funny because, I mean, I'm talking about myself now, but, you know, when kids leave home and their parents, a lot of parents get upset and they don't like it and it causes like a bit of trauma for something in varying degrees. And my kids have all, like I left my youngest daughter here when she was 14 in 2001. And then my son went to Australia for a couple of months, and I don't have a problem with that. It doesn't upset me.
Right.
And I think I'm in communication all the time, you know, whether it's just, you know, spiritually or whether it's whatever it is. I don't actually know what it is. I just am, you know.
Wonderful.
I find life to be very easy that way.
It is. As a psychologist, I can see how that would work because we spend most of our time trying to teach people, or at least try to get people to focus on what's at hand, you know, in life, because all we have is the present, really. I mean, the past is past and the future is unknown. So really, all the great philosophers have talked about that, you know, and in the end, we just have this little moment. And if you miss it, you tend to miss the whole of your life. A lot of people have regretted not paying more attention to the present on their deathbed. So it's wonderful that you have that natural ability to do so.
Oh, I just love it, you know, and I've just went to visit my manufacturer of my product today, and I love going there because the wife sits outside and the squirrels and the birds are jumping around then. So I've also bought a bag of nuts now, so we throw the nuts, and then you got the lizards and you got the squirrels and you got the birds, and there's so much activity, and it's just so pleasing to have that happening around you.
Yeah, wonderful.
And like when I found a lizard in my room this morning.
Yeah.
And I tried to catch it, a little baby lizard, because I wanted to take it outside, because I've had a couple of them got stuck in my place, but then what happens is they get dried out, and then of course they die, and so I don't want that to happen to them. But the little guy was too quick for me, and I couldn't catch him. So he escaped.
Yeah. If only he knew, you know, that you were trying to help. And so on that, you talked just to touch upon your product. So let's talk a little bit about that, about your product. How did that come about?
Well, many years ago, there's a product that the product is. When I first found the product, it was you bought the calcium powder, calcium gluconate powder, you bought the magnesium carbonate powder, and you used apple cider vinegar, and you mix it, and you make it, and it's. I mean, I've been using that for years and years. And when my kids were born, the first day they born, I give them a very watered down dose. I start them in their water bottle on it. So I've been using that for a long time. And then I was trained as a detox specialist, and one of the products you use on that program is the CalMag, because when people are detoxing, because it's a vitamin detox program, there's no medication or drugs, you're actually helping the person get the the drugs and the stuff out. I helped my daughter because she was running a detox, a rehab, a drug rehab, and so you do it that way. But then there's also, we all get exposed to chemicals. It's in our food, it's in the air, it's in the water, it's everywhere. And what happens is So I'm kind of going a little bit off the mark, so you can slap me and put me back. If you
Yeah,
want.
that's okay. That's good. I like to see, the background information.
Yeah. So basically, the detox program, I'm a detox. They call it a IC in charge. So I would be running it, and you use a sauna, and the person is in the sauna for many hours every day, getting detoxing, getting this stuff out the body.
Right.
And so of course you've got to watch and make sure they're hydrated and various things. But the CalMag is a part of the program because it helps feed the nervous system, and it helps the body to cope and push out, to work properly.
Yeah.
And I did that for many years, and then several, just around, I can't even remember, 95, 94, I wasn't doing the detox program anymore, but the local area that was doing it couldn't find vitamin B1 anywhere, and this is a crucial part of the program. And I drove all over Joburg. I wasn't going to let them have that problem, and I drove everywhere trying to find B1. And then I started to get suspicious because I couldn't find any. I thought that Big Pharma was cutting it, stopping it because they like to sell drugs.
Sure.
So I started to get suspicious. So then I called the laboratory in another city that manufactures a lot of the vitamins. And I'm saying vitamins because I'm using American style. I used to say vitamins.
Vitamins, yes, that's right.
Yeah, I had to change that because people don't quite understand what I'm saying. Yeah. So I called the laboratory, and I said to about the vitamin B1. And then they said to me, oh, it's all gone out on tender to the hospitals for the alcoholics. And then I looked and I thought, oh, wow, that's cool. That's cool. Then I dropped my suspicion. And then the guy said to me, why don't I drive over to their warehouse in Johannesburg and go and see if they've got any there. So I did. And I arrived there and asked the lady, it's like a warehouse. And now in South Africa, you can do this kind of thing. I think in America, you'll get your ass kicked.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The laws are a bit more flexible.
You can live, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Anyway, she said, no, sorry, they don't have any left. So I said to her, please, won't you do me a favor? Won't you take me to the shelf where you keep it? So she did. She took me there, and on the shelf was 6 little bottles. Oh. So I said to her, oh, can I buy those? She said, yeah, sure. And that's how come I started my business. I was not going to let that happen ever again.
Right.
So then I was doing the CalMag because I've been doing it forever. And then when I started the business, I started to import the vitamins from a place here in America. Right. And so that was kind of and then because there were some people that came to America, some of my customers, and they wanted this instant CalMag that is available here in America. So I said, oh, well, okay. So when I imported the other stuff, I brought in a dozen of those for those people. And before I sell anything, I always try it myself.
Right. Okay.
So I tried it, and I'm like, what the heck? This doesn't do anything for me. I'm sticking with my mixture. Anyway, so then time went on, and then one of my shipments got confiscated by our what I'll call our FDA. Right. Federal Drug Agency. In South Africa, it's called the MCC, Medicines Control Council, and in Australia, it's TGA, as you probably know.
Yes,
Therapeutic Goods Act. And anyway, so they confiscated my shipment when it came in, our MCC. You can't believe the bullshit around that whole cycle. But anyway,
I can imagine. Yeah.
So. Yeah, I just went really fat. I just whoa. But luckily I had some friends, and they pulled my hair up and they pointed to the mountain, and I said, see the mountain? Get going. So, so I did, and I started having it made in South Africa. And then because I had these few people that wanted the instant one, I got the laboratory to make the instant one for me. And then when I got it back, I tried it again, of course. And I'm like, wow, that is incredible stuff. And I never totally knew exactly. I had my theories about why. And I've subsequently found out what it is. It's a very specific, the calcium gluconate, which is in these ones in America as well as in South Africa. But it's the quality of the calcium gluconate, I found out.
Right.
And so it's, and I kind of keep that a very secret thing now because that's obviously part of my secret of my product. And
Sure, of course.
yeah, so when I was having it made in South Africa and shipped over here when I came here. So for many years until about 2018, and then I got a local laboratory to make it, and there was another circus. They could not find that particular quality of calcium. So yeah, it was a bit of a battle, but I was not going to compromise with anything on it. Anyway, eventually they got it, and so now it's getting made for in America. It's getting made here. My South African CalMag is still being made in South Africa by our laboratory in Cape Town, and they're awesome guys. So it's really cool. Anyway, so that's basically the kind of background of CalMag.
Wow, and so you're now at the moment you're basically distributing it throughout the world with customers and so forth that you have.
I've got quite a few retail customers in Australia, but I also have distributors there, and also New Zealand and a couple of other countries as well. Denmark, UK, quite a few places. So, and I make it in. I make it in Australia for New Zealand. I usually make it in at my Cape Town laboratory because she buys it in bulk from me, and then I ship it from Cape Town. No, I don't ship it. Let me rephrase that. It goes by normal postage, and it's so cheap. But since all this drama has started with COVID, we haven't been able to do that because they're not even sending. Post office is not even sending stuff to New Zealand. I don't know if anything's changed right now. And a couple of months ago, I had to ship her some stuff from here, which costs a lot more, and the shipping costs a lot more.
Sure.
But she's got lots of customers who need it, so we kind of had to figure out a lot of stuff. But
the technicalities, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. So now I've got myself a new laboratory here, and I love the people. They are so cool.
That was a lot of fun indeed. Stay tuned for part 2 of my chat with Desiree Lotz. For the time being, remember, existence is a miracle. Welcome, friends of Private Universe. Today we have part 2 of my chat with Desiree Lotz. Enjoy. For someone to look into your product, what would they be? What's the type of person that would want that product? Do you think? What would they be looking for?
Oh, okay. So I've got so many. There's so many things. I've got. I'll give you the main ones are pain, sleep, PMS, exercise, and these are the kind of the main ones. And even constipation, for some people it helps with that.
Right.
But there was a AAA Hall of Fame guy who, his name is Pork Chop. He had a grade 3 concussion, and he was he couldn't play, and he was very traumatized mentally and physically obviously having issues. Right. And his coach gave him a bottle of CalMag. And then things changed rapidly for him. And then he kind of wasn't sure if it, kind of like a disbelief thing. So he did his own little whatever testing, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And I've got a great success story on my site from him. And he had restless legs before. He couldn't sleep, and all these aches and pains, and his anger and emotions from the accident and not being able to play all just subsided. So that is kind of a common thing.
Oh, I see. And so, how would people be taking this? Orally, is it, or daily?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely. I take it twice a day, but everybody's different, so it depends on your body. And it's a powder. You put it in a cup, and you put boiling water on it, enough to dissolve it, and then you can add cold water or ice blocks or more hot water, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole point of the thing too is that calcium. People take CalMag tablets, calcium tablets, and all that. I've got data from very, very reliable resources about calcium carbonate. It's actually just rock. And sorry, I want to clear my throat. And so what it can deposit all over the body, in the joints, behind the eyes, and you're going to get all those eye problems, and cataracts and blah, blah, blah. So calcium gluconate, which is the form of calcium in the CalMag, is the most potent painkiller. It's more potent than morphine, believe it or not. Yeah, they even make injectables out of it, but they promote it as totally unrelated to what I'm just telling you, because Big Pharma cannot let you know that this is a potent painkiller, because otherwise their OxyContin and all their junk stuff and their poison stuff is going to not be sold.
Sure.
But I'll give you a good example of how I actually personally found out.
Mm-hmm.
When I was pregnant with my son 36 years ago, and I went into labor. This is before we started to make my instant one. My husband made 2 liters of CalMag in a flask, 2 flasks. And we took it to the hospital, and I drank roughly 1.5 liters of the CalMag.
Mm-hmm.
You know how much pain I had delivering my son?
How much?
0.
Really?
0. Now, the downside of it was because I was very relaxed, so of course the pushing was a bit more effort.
Ah.
So I was still,
He didn't feel like pushing. Just chilling.
I managed to push.
You push. You tell your husband, no, you push.
Yeah, exactly. So
That's incredible.
Anyway, it was a hell of a. It was such an eye opener for me, from that viewpoint.
Yeah.
So.
And any side effects?
No, I mean.
No indications.
No, because it's all natural.
Sure.
Basically, yeah. So I mean, sometimes if somebody takes too much, they might get loose stools, let's say.
Right.
Or there's varying degrees for everybody. It's like anything. Everybody's going to be different. I do muscle testing. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
Applied kinesiology. So it's kind of, the meridian points. It's kind of like, I would say, Chinese medicine.
Yes.
The meridian points.
Yes,
so
I actually had a guest last year on this show talking about that, Alfred, and I told him if he talked about the meridians. It's quite interesting.
Oh, yeah. So you got some idea of it.
Yeah, a little bit,
yeah. So I test a lot of people, and I've been doing it for a long time. So you use, sometime maybe you and I can do a kind of a video thing and I can show you. But basically, I test them. And the biggest deficiency and everybody shows this as a deficiency, is actually dehydration.
Oh.
And I can give you more data at another time. And I'm busy right now with my book is getting prepared on the subject of dehydration.
Excellent.
But, it's so interesting, and I'll extrapolate on that some other time maybe. to explain how the electrical current in the body works and, all that type of thing. So basically, if somebody's, just get the picture in your mind of a heart. If you think about the heart, it contracts, it relaxes. Contracts, relaxes. And when it contracts, it pulls blood in. When it relaxes, it pushes blood out. And this is all related to blood pressure. So I've had, because this is a big factor, especially here in Florida, and there's, I can get into a whole thing about what causes dehydration. Besides sugar and Gatorade and all these things are actually poison. They cause dehydration. Too much coffee, too much sugar, sweating and blah, 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 blah. But just as an interesting kind of a picture, if you cry, what do your tears taste like?
Yeah, water, I suppose, yeah.
Salty.
Salty, yeah.
And if you're sweating and you lick your arm, what does it taste like?
Yeah, salt as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so there's a whole lot of information about that subject alone. And I've got so much information on it. But basically, we can maybe do another time. I can go into that more. I'm working on my book, and I've got to get it ready to be published this year. But
and your product can help with the dehydration?
Yes, because calcium and magnesium are your most abundant minerals. And there's all the dehydration. Let me ask you this question. Can drinking water dehydrate you?
Oh, I would say no.
It absolutely can.
Really?
Yeah, because if you drink, you pee. You drink, you pee. You drink, you pee.
Yep.
So what's happening is you're losing more and more minerals.
Right. Yep.
So and so what all these like advice, drink so many gallons of water every day. It's like it's such BS.
Oh.
And it's dangerous. But
and so we're better off drinking other type of liquids, is it?
So basically, what I get people to do is put Celtic sea salt in their drinking water. You know what that is, Celtic sea salt?
Yes.
It's from up there in that area over there by Europe. There.
That's right. Yeah, we have it here as a product. You can buy it in some shops. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. That's exactly. And then calcium, magnesium are vital as well for all of this nerve system, the nervous system to function, because the electrical current as it comes into your house. It's all working good and there's no interference. Your lights are on, your computer's working, your air conditioner's working, or your heater or whatever. But when there's interference, you get flickering.
Right.
And then in the worst case scenario, you get a blackout. And a blackout is what I equate to body death. So basically, if your electrical current of your body is working properly, and you've got all the minerals you need, then your electrical current works properly. So your signals. So if you put your finger on the hot stove, if your current is working well, you put your finger on the hot stove, you pull it off very quickly.
Right.
If you step out in the road and there's a car coming, you react fast. You're out of the way. But the more your electrical current isn't functioning, you put your finger, because the message comes from the finger to the brain where the central nervous system is.
Sure.
And that kind of runs the whole electrical current thing. So you put your finger on the stove and the signal takes ages to get back. So by the time it gets back, you've burnt your finger.
Right, yeah, if it's not working properly.
Yes, and if you step out in the road and there's a car coming, your reaction time is going to be slow and you could get hit or whatever. So basically, the minerals are what makes your electrical current of your body work. And,
okay, yep, I get that, yep.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
No, yes, I get that. Yeah, that's well explained. I get the picture now. Yes.
Yeah. So basically, I've had a few people. I had one, especially one lady. She came to see me. She was a French lady from France, and her blood pressure was so high she couldn't go into a local hotel. And she came to see me, and I tested her. And in those days, I used to have seawater ampoules, like little glass tubes of seawater.
Right.
And I tested her, and she needed like about 8 of those. Because you can do count how many in glass. And she called her doctor in France and told him. And he said, no, you can't do that. Your blood pressure, blah, blah, and can't take that salt. But she didn't listen to him, and she listened to me. And the next day, she was able to go into the hotel because her blood pressure had completely subsided. Because the body needs all of these minerals. Now, the salt, when the doctor tells you don't take salt, it's that poison that you buy, the white stuff. That's
right.
Not salt. That's just poison, you know.
Right, so it has to be the Celtic one.
Yeah. Well, you can do the Himalayan, but I found personally I prefer the Celtic one because I know that it's got iodine in it, and the thyroid needs iodine and all that. So it's better to take that. The pink one may have it, may not have it. I don't know. So my stable data is that I know that the Celtic has got it.
Right. And you tested this French lady, and how did you test her? And can anyone do that, or they need to have someone like you doing it?
Well, you know what? I'm kind of planning on doing like at some point, making a little video and showing people how they can do it. But I'd have to do, because my friends in South Africa want me to send it back for the townships and all that to go and to educate the people and really help them so they can do their own because I can test for many things, not just that. Right. Test if whatever you need, if your liver's giving trouble, if your adrenals are giving, all kinds of things. But it's the best way to.
Yeah, sorry, keep going. Yep, sorry.
So what I tell people is, get your drinking water, get decent quality. Don't go for high pH. That's also not good water because it'll just suck more good out of you. Mm-hmm. There's a pH band, and one should stick in that band. And your high pH is not good, so I wouldn't go more than about 8 or so. Like Fiji water is good.
Okay.
I tell people put salt into the water, shake the bottle, taste it. If it tastes salty, then obviously you've got too much salt in it, put a bit more water. And if it's flat tasting with no taste, then you need a bit more salt. Because the water, in the original days when before all this chemicals and all this junk thrown onto our planet, water was like alive, you know? It's got life in it, and it's kind of, and you know where the word salt comes from?
No.
Salary, pay.
Salary.
Yeah, pay.
Ah.
Do you remember back in the old days when the sailing ships used to sail around and trade all over the world?
Yes.
So one of the things that the sailors got paid with was salt.
Oh. That makes sense.
Vital for survival. Yeah, it's vital for survival. Yeah.
So yes, in Spanish we say sal, and so it's the same. Yes, salary, and incredible. Yeah. So basically, if somebody wants to buy your product, how would they go about contacting you and so forth?
Okay, well they can email me. We're currently sorting out the website, and that's been giving a bit of drama. But you can go online and look at all the information. But if you want to buy, it might be a good idea to email me. Because let's say the person is sitting in New Zealand, then I could connect them with there. If they're sitting in Denmark, I can connect them there. You know what I mean? So that I do ship all over the world. I mean, I've been doing that for eons, but until the shopping thing is all sorted out online, it might be better just to email me. And maybe they email me anyway, and then I connect them with the different distributors around the world, you know.
Sure, and I will put your email in the write-up of the episode, but if you want to just say it out loud now as well, just in case someone can't get to the description,
Okay.
that would be great too.
Okay, so you can email me at Desiree, and that is spelled Desiree at CalMag, C for Charlie, A for Apple, L for Lima, M for Mary, A for Apple, G for George, hyphen, C for Charlie again, .com.
Excellent. And then you can go from there, because it seems like this product, it's not only for people that are in pain or are sick, but it's also could be just for the person who wants to feel healthier, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a basic to life. It's one of your most fundamental. It's your 2 top minerals that your body needs. And whether you're PMSing, and boys PMS too, by the way, and they have women that PMS.
Yeah.
And even colic in babies and teething. I mean, my babies never cried. I never had any upset babies, because they got a good dose of CalMag every day. So the electrical current was obviously working very well, and
Sure.
And I've seen so many helped so many people in all different walks of life with different issues. And if people want to see more about it, they can go to the website and just look for, can't remember if the word is reviews or testimonials or whatever.
Yeah.
Just go and look and see the data. And it's excellent. So important.
That is a woman with a lot of knowledge and experience. Thank you, friends of Private Universe, for listening in. We have our last part coming up, part 3, with my chat with Desiree Lotz. So stay tuned. In the meantime, remember, existence is the real miracle. Well, hello, friends of Private Universe. Today we have the 3rd and last installment of my chat with Desiree Lotz. Please enjoy. You've been doing this for a long time now, because your children are adults and they grew up with this as well. Are you surprised that it's not more popular, or people don't know more about it, since it's such a good product?
Well, on the one hand, yes. On the other hand, no. The problem is Big Pharma is controlling all kinds of things. You can't say a lot of stuff about natural stuff. And hopefully that. But a lot of people, there's more and more people that do find out. And the trick is too, people very often know they need calcium. They go to the doctor says you need more calcium because of osteoporosis, whatever, you know. And then they get them to take calcium tablets. That is the worst thing you can do to anybody, because that calcium doesn't break down. It deposits in the joints and stuff. And with calcium, calcium, magnesium have to be in balance with each other. So calcium is 2 parts of calcium to 1 part of magnesium. So if you're low on magnesium, you're going to be, the calcium is going to pull the magnesium out of your body to balance up so it can work. And vice versa. So I don't know if you know this, but most people don't. Calcium has its own gland. It's called the parathyroid. And it's alongside the thyroid, but it's got nothing to do with the thyroid. It's called the parathyroid. And the job of that gland is to balance the calcium. So when people go to have blood tests and they say, oh, your calcium is too high, there's a reason, because the calcium is floating around in the bloodstream. It's not getting into the cells and the bones and stuff, and that's another whole story which I can tell you about another time. And this other guy that I mentioned earlier, a very, very, I don't know if you've heard of him, Dr. Royal Lee. He was a dentist, and he he established this product line called Standard Process.
Right.
Now, I think it is kind of available in other parts of the world, but I don't know how much. And I've got a lot of his research material. It is such good information, stuff that people just don't know. And I've learned so much from, and Adele Davis is another. I've used Adele Davis for more than 40 years.
All right.
Yeah, so I mean, there's some really good and other good people like that out there that their information is real. But as Big Pharma has taken more and more control, people can say less and less about certain things, you know. So,
of course, yes, it's political.
Exactly. Well, it's money.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it's kind of like it's the same word.
Yeah, because they don't make money. And
there's
you
not
can't
much
patent
difference between politics and money, unfortunately. But and it's not only now; it's always been the case in our Western civilization. There have been some great leaders, of course, and people that try to do the right thing. But I mean, it's we don't want to sound too cynical, but we also have to be realistic when there is a product like this. And that works. Obviously, there's going to be companies either that want to have hold of it, or try to at least obscure it in order for people to not have an opportunity to be able to access it, because then they will, and if it works, they might not buy the products that are mainstream.
Their drugs anymore. Yeah.
I mean, and in Western medicine, obviously, Western medicine has evolved a little bit in the last 20 years. It has been a little bit more open with alternative medicine, but not. There's a lot of GPs. Most of them would still roll their eyes a little bit, I think. Even in psychology is the same too. I mean, we talk about mindfulness now and these type of things that we didn't really 10 years ago. So, I mean, it seems inevitable that the things that work, even though Western medicine doesn't have the methodology to research it or to prove it, because it's a different type of medicine, isn't it? It's inevitable that people are going to notice, and there's more demand for it. How do you see the future of alternative medicine?
Well, you know what? Hopefully, like I discussed with you before the show started, if all of those things work out, then we're going to have more and more of the natural, real stuff on the planet. Because if you look back at traditional medicine, at the Indian tribes, at the Chinese people, at the African people, all these guys always had the solutions out of the soil or whatever.
Yes.
And it's been that way forever. And we need to go back to that, because that is real. Now, obviously, if somebody has a heart attack and needs to have an immediate whatever, that's fine. But to try and have, because I've been working with this kind of. Sometimes I kind of, my jaw drops open and I don't easily get startled. The bags that people bring me with all the medication, they take this one, then this has got a ton of side effects. Then they need this one, and then that's got its own list of side effects. And then this bag is full of medications.
Yes.
And even like I know some of these pharmacies with their OxyContin and Oxycodone, they're having to pay out billions of dollars class action suits, because they are creating addiction of unbelievable proportions. I have a customer up in Canada, a really cool guy, and he was an Olympic gold medalist. And I met him, I didn't physically meet him, but since 2007. And what happened was he had an accident, and he got put on OxyContin, and this guy's life went to hell in a handbasket.
Wow.
The addiction, and this is what it does. And so we've managed to get him right down. He might even be totally off it by now, because he managed to get down to a minuscule dose. But the last time I spoke, it was like he was kind of at the point where he's kind of he might have dropped it all already by now. Because I've also kind of help people with that and you know, to replace, give the body what it needs, so it's not looking for that other thing, and even something that's like musicians. So often musicians and people that go to these noisy music concerts and stuff get addicted to cocaine or whatever.
Yep.
And what happens is when there's loud noise, that burns the magnesium up, so the nerves get frazzled.
Oh, really?
So they get. That's also on my site about musicians and noise. And then what happens is because their nerves are frazzled, they got to take a snort, you know, and whatever, and it's sort of kind of. But then that doesn't last very long because the noise is burning whatever, and the drug is not going to help. No. So it just gets worse and worse. And I don't know if you know Kate Ceberano in Australia.
Yes.
Yeah, I was going to do a book with her. We haven't gone that far yet. Anyway, on this particular subject with musicians, so it's a very interesting subject.
It is. Yes. I mean,
there's so many things
incredible.
I could tell you about it. You know?
Yeah, no, obviously I'm very interested because I'm very interested in music as well, and so forth. I've been in the music scene in the past and so forth at my own level, of course, not Kate Ceberano level, but I know. Yeah, I know a lot of musicians worldwide even, and we've recorded overseas and so forth, and it would be an interesting idea, a theory that with the loud music and all the problems it creates, and because there's obviously a correlation between musicians and some form of addiction, and so it would be interesting for you to look at that, and for me as a psychologist to be able to also to give my 2 cents as well, because it's a very interesting subject matter. Yeah, and the thing is with this particular subject, because when I spoke to Kate several years ago when we were discussing it, the thing is the way it is approached, we have to be careful, because if you say it outright, it makes that person wrong, and very often musicians and stuff are emulating some hero of theirs in the music. So let's say some famous musician was a druggie and he was good and he made lots of money, and this guy's kind of like, that's his idol kind of thing, and he's following that. So there has to be a clever way to approach it without, it kind of has to be a little bit kind of subtle. Right, okay.
But that we could discuss that. The approach is to be in such a way, but I can always connect with you and Kate Ceberano on this and see how we could approach it.
That's right. I mean, I'm sure there would be interest within the industry as well, and for individuals, it's interesting if they do get into certain industries and what the negative and the positive sides of it, and how to relate, but also how to protect themselves from certain things happening. So that would be a wonderful thing that we can obviously discuss and hopefully plan towards the future. There's so much, isn't there? The human body and the mind, of course, is so complex that we're still continuing to learn, and what you've provided us is incredible insight that I had not much knowledge of.
Right. My basic philosophy is, my basic purpose is, I'm going to read it to you because I've got it here on my wall.
Excellent.
My purpose in life is to help people with their bodies so they get attention off them and outwards on the world around them, so they can have fun and play the game of life. So basically, if the person's body is well fed with the right things, no drugs, and it's really just, being taken care of from that point of view, then the tension comes off the body, and mentally the person is in a much better state. So they can, because your body is going to suck the worse your body is, the worse condition, more the attention is going to be sucked into it, and the more you're going to kind of get all kinds of like, oh, this is my problem, oh, that's my problem, oh, that's, all that type of, you know more than I do about that. But I've seen it so many times. But the minute the body's in good condition nutritionally and being well fed, it definitely makes a big difference.
Yes. It's a fascinating area, because obviously with the modern world, we don't have much time anymore for others, but even for ourselves. I mean, to have a good routine. And I know in my own psychological practice, I also my jaw does drop as well sometimes too, a bit like you, when people come in with bags of medication. I said, really, wow. Some people 7-8 medications in the morning, 7 or 8 in the afternoon, and they're some are relatively young, and some don't have any physical issues. It's all antidepressants and so forth. So, and you find that when you start asking, they don't know even if it works. They're just taking it, and because they were asked to, and then suddenly a new medication comes out, and their doctor may change them only if they ask as well. Yeah, so it is a little bit scary in that sense, that people are just introducing these things into their body that they don't really know what it's doing, or if it's doing anything. So I think it's a wonderful idea to start from zero, tabula rasa, as they used to say in Latin, clean slate, and maybe build from there. I know the lifestyle is incredible. Like if you have a good lifestyle, that's a good start,
Yeah. And on my website, which I'll send you some links that I put together to send you.
Yeah.
I've got one page, and it's called Build a Healthy Body. And on it, I've got a picture of a guy filling the cracks in the wall of a house. Because you know what, with the body, I mean, the body is so much internal stuff, people can't get a physical vision of it. So I use external vision. So I've got a picture of a guy filling the cracks. And then the whole point is, like, if you keep filling the cracks, they're going to keep coming back.
Yep.
They're going to just keep coming back. If you want the cracks to stop, rebuild the foundation. If you fix the foundation, then the cracks will stop coming.
Wonderful.
And so, as a relationship to the body. So, I mean, this is just what you just described there about all this medication thing is horrendous, because they're getting more and more depleted of nutrients when they're on all those. And that's one of the things that the detox thing that I was running is getting it out of the body. Because let me give you a little picture. Let's say you and your wife go to a pub and you're getting drunk, and then there's a guy there and he's also getting drunk, and he starts flirting with your wife.
Yeah.
And you get mad at him, and you start punching each other. So now you're getting whatever, drunk, plus you're now getting impacts. Okay. So now you go home, and a couple of days later, you are at work, and you haven't eaten, so you're hungry, so your blood sugar's down, you're feeling upset and emotional and blah, 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 kind of thing. And you start to feel angry because you were angry with, so all these toxic particles, what happens is the body can get rid of a lot of it, just naturally.
Yes.
But there's a lot of it the body can't cope. It's just too much overload. So what happens is the body's clever mechanism is to coat that drug, that alcohol particle, in fat and deposit it in the fatty tissue. So now it's all these particles with all these chemicals and all these things are in the fatty tissue. But now you're sitting at work and you're hungry and you start to feel angry. And what happened is the body pulls on the fat for energy. So it pulls out this piece of fat, and that piece of fat just so happens to have that alcohol particles in it, and you start to feel angry and pissed off with your wife, and you want, punching, you want to punch somebody, blah, blah. All the similar scene. So this is what happens with people all the time. The body releases this because tired or hungry or upset or whatever, and it pulls out in the fatty tissue, comes into the bloodstream. That particle is there, like LSD, for example. The person has a high. Suddenly, 20 years later, you can have a high for no reason, for no apparent reason.
Sure. So I suppose the moral to the story is don't go to the pub with your wife.
or let the guy flirt with her and don't touch you. And they didn't touch you. Exactly.
No, I would say it's the opposite. I always tell a lot of men, go out with your wife, take it to the pub, go to places you would with your mates. It's once you learn how to have fun with your wife, it's wonderful.
Yeah, there's so many ways to
So So no, it's wonderful. It's incredible how it's funny, isn't it? How humor works and how people sometimes do read things very, very different. So it's a bit of humor, I suppose. But it is interesting that some people would actually come to certain conclusions. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But humor is one of the best things that you can. I love it when people have humor. Yeah.
It's wonderful. I mean, I think there's lots still to talk about, Desiree. I mean, it's incredible your knowledge on this, and we talked about your product. We talked today about your product and how it can help people. And I'd love to do another interview as you mentioned with regards to the points, electricity, and a couple of other things that you have knowledge on. And for the future, because it would also add to this. But in the meantime, I think, is there anything else you want to add or summarize with regards to what we talked about today?
No, I think we did. I think we did pretty good, and I enjoyed it with you very much. Yeah,
I did too, and it's incredible. We've been speaking for an hour, isn't it? And absolutely incredible how time flies when you're having fun. So.
Yeah. And please remind me next time too to talk to you about weight loss.
Okay, sure. Excellent.
Yeah.
No, that's wonderful.
Yeah. Well, I enjoyed this so much too, Carlos.
Yeah. No, me too, Desiree. I think there's you've got a lot of experience, and you've done a lot in your life, and you've travelled. You're not only someone with theory, you're also someone with experience, and that's so wonderful to. And for me, it's a privilege to have you on my modest little podcast. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
You take care, okay?
Okay, you too. Okay, I guess you're going to go to work now, and I'm going to bed.
That was a lot of fun